All right, folks. I just want to welcome everybody to our Stump the Foodie event. And what we're having Megan Huvendick join us. She is a registered dietitian. Megan, why don't you say hello to the folks?
Hey everyone, good to hear you all.
And everybody, just so you know, this event is being recorded. So in case you weren't able to join us live, or if you're going to be signing on just for a moment and may need to sign off because of a kid or family or members of that, we totally understand. We're both parents ourselves. In fact, Megan, you have a bouncing baby girl, isn't she? She's getting to a couple of big milestones, isn't she?
Yes, we actually just hit one. She turned 9 months old yesterday.
9 months. Wow. Congratulations. That's a big deal.
Yes, it is.
So Megan, why don't you let's first get everybody acquainted to what you do and what some of the positions that you've held and are currently holding, so that way they know how to get a hold of you.
Absolutely. So I've been in Ogallala for about 2 years. And when we moved to Ogallala as a dietitian, I was kind of thinking, okay, what do I want to do? What can I do in Ogallala, Nebraska? And so I actually started my own business and it's called From the Inside Out. Um, with that, I just basically started doing just consultations. So I've done some groups, couples, singles, families, all kinds of different consults on that form. And that I just do out of our home. Or I go to wherever my clients may be. So it's really flexible, which is great. It kind of allows me to be wherever works best. In the last year, I just started working up at the Ogallala Community Hospital. So I am seeing patients up there as well. I do inpatient, outpatient, wellness, and I help out in the kitchen. So kind of all of the above. So that's kind of what is, I guess, all my job responsibilities at this time. My passion is really just wellness in general. So whatever form that may take, again, whether it's in like a hospital setting or just working one-on-one with people, doing group education sessions, that's what I love to do. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. That's where you're exactly what I was hoping to hear about, actually. So Megan has a real life experience. She's obviously, proven point. She practices what she preaches, which is nice. So you can actually see somebody actually is passionate about their subject. I'm all about the nervous system. I love talking chiropractic, but you're not going to find somebody more excited about nutrition and health and wellness paradigm than Megan there. And I actually think that, she's probably one of the few true wellness dietitians, meaning that she has the knowledge to help with certain conditions, but her overall goal is what can we do to raise your level of health to its highest potential.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I'm all about the prevention side of things. If I can go and get people, of course, I'm going to help them if they're already having issues or whatever. I have no issues with that. But if we can prevent that and start kind of when someone's healthy, but prevent getting any further, that's my goal.
Fantastic. Well, Megan, all month in my office, we've hired you for a few events to have question and answer sessions in the office and things like that. And we thought, as busy as people are getting nowadays, that it might actually be more advantageous for actually us to have this live webinar event where people can write in their own questions, but also be able to watch this at their own leisure. So in our office for the entire month of June, we've been collecting a whole host of questions for our Stump the Foodie event. So Megan, I guess I gave you a fair chance to look over some of these before we got started. But before we really get started answering any questions, is there anything overall that you want to touch upon tonight that we make sure that we either address now or get to back later?
I think the overall thing would be if you have specific questions about your health and nutrition, and I guess specifically about your nutrition, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I love doing, I guess, Q&A sessions. I try to be as general as I can, but in the end, I really think that nutrition works best when it's been individualized for you. And so I don't think that every, general recommendation that you find is necessarily right for each person. I feel like it should be tailored to everyone. So that's probably my overall recommendation is if you have nutrition questions specific to you, don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. That's what I do. And again, sometimes just general information, it may need to be more specific to you. So that would probably be my overall.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. I think gone are the days where this big cookie cutter, everybody fits into one thing, shape thing is gone now. It's so much more that we've paid the piper and we realize our mistakes.
Yes.
We are individual and we have individual needs. So
Yeah.
I'd say for anybody, whether it's, working out or eating or nervous system or,
Yep.
stress or whatever it is, you got to take advantage of the experts that you have in your community and really reach out and get a personalized plan of approach. If it's somebody's just kind of throw something generic at you and just kind of, yeah, just try this, I'm not sure that's going to be in your best interest.
Exactly. And I think that's where people get frustrated. They see, well, this worked for them or, whatever. Why isn't it working for me? So I just try to remind people we're all different. I mean, it's obvious just looking around. So the way that our body interacts with food is different as well. So we just have to find what works for each person.
Totally agree. All right. So here we go for the first couple of questions.
Alrighty.
So some of these questions are just kind of what we touched upon is kind of more that generic thing. But, one comes down to is that everybody's mind is like, how do we quit some of those bad habits that we're currently on that are so hard to let go? So more specifically, we have, what's the best way to quit Diet Coke and sugary items?
I love that question. It makes me smile. Well, to be frank, I guess there's two ways to go about it. One is you can just go cold turkey, or the other one is you can go gradual and kind of cut it down. And I know that doesn't sound very scientific or anything like, aha, but a lot of times it just comes down to deciding what works best for you. So for some people, they have to say, all right, I just have to get it out of my diet. If I allow myself some, then I'm more tempted to have more. So I can't just cut it down. I need to cut it out. For other people, they can kind of wean it down until eventually they're not getting to the point where they crave it. I remind people that it's all about training your palate. So initially, it does take some time. You build up a certain tolerance to both salt and sugar. That's just in your saliva. And so it takes time for you to get used to not having that salty sensation or that sugary sensation. The amazing thing is once you cut it down, all of a sudden, if you have it, you're going to be like, wow, that is so strong. So it's just kind of taking time to get used to it. And again, sometimes for certain people, I have them phase it out. We just cut it down. Other times I just have them, we just say, nope, we're cutting it out cold turkey. The one thing on sugar, so I do remind people that, certain forms of sugar like fruit, some of your natural sweeteners, I don't necessarily think we need to get rid of all of those altogether. So if they're in the right forms, I don't think sugar in itself is necessarily a bad thing. But like for Diet Coke or regular Coke, some of those processed sugars, those are the things that we need to get out. There's just really no place for them and there's no benefit for the body. So if you're craving some of those things, again, it just kind of takes time to train your palate, get that out of your system. And a lot of times your body adjusts. I usually say, okay, give it 3 to 6 weeks of solid, effort, and you'll see a big difference.
Nice. When it comes to like sodas, what are your thoughts on like using like soda water? Is that a healthy alternative or is there weird stuff in it? I mean, what if we just want that burn?
I know I'm still not a big fan. So the thing with like carbonated water or like soda water, is it's still not great for your system. Still really bad for your bones. That carbonation just doesn't do a lot of great things for the environment of your body. And so, to me, it's better than, if you still need kind of that carbonation, if you just do plain old club water or soda water, carbonated water is better. And you still get, you get away from some of that sugar that's in there. But again, I just come back to reminding people, what is your body made to drink? Just water. So everything else that we add, whether it be juice, pop, carbonation, that's all things that we decided to add into water. And then we become addicted to it. So it's just getting yourself off of that and remembering that really the biggest thing that we need is water. And that's what your body needs to be healthy and to survive.
Fantastic. I think that's probably great advice for anything. If you really ask us like what our body really truly designed. And
exactly.
I remember, was it Michael Pollan? He has like the food rules and he's like, if your great grandmother can't identify it as food, it's probably not something you should put in your body.
Yeah, so. I agree. There's a lot of truth to that because we've come up with a lot of things, even the the drops and stuff that you can add to water. Still, again, it was created by man. And we just, again, came up with this idea. It wasn't created by God for our body. So it's not something that was really designed for our body to consume, digest. So what is it really doing over the long term? I don't think we really know. So
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Let's see. That was a great topic, and we got on some pretty good discussion there. The next one here is this is one from one of our younger members, and we're just going to switch gears right here. Are tomatoes a fruit?
Great question. Yes, technically, scientifically speaking, tomatoes are a fruit. They often get misclassified as a vegetable because they're not super sweet as we think fruits generally are. But because of the way that it grows and develops and all that kind of stuff, it is technically a fruit. So same for like avocados. Most people would classify those as a vegetable, but they're actually a fruit. And again, it's just because of the way they grow, the parts that it has, and things like that. So.
And I understand that chocolate is grown from a plant, so therefore it's a vegetable.
No. Again, again, just because of the way that it's grown. I mean, if you look into it more specifically, like if it has a seed, if it comes from an ovary, the science behind how it grows kind of determines how we classify something. So again, like chocolate, yes, technically it does come from a plant, or at least cocoa does, not all parts of chocolate or cacao. But again, it doesn't necessarily classify it as a vegetable.
Oh, shucks. No more salads, I guess.
I know, dang.
All right, here's another one. So we talk about, obviously, we eat these foods for the minerals, the vitamins, the nutrients in there. Somebody wanted to know, how do we know if we're getting enough of the vitamins we need? Is there any kind of special tests or things like that we can do to check?
So technically there is, you can get blood work done to test your vitamin levels. I think it's called a vitamin panel. So you could go in, like up at the hospital, we have Wellness Wednesdays, and you could say, I want a vitamin panel drawn. And they would test just like your basic vitamin levels. So your vitamin D, your vitamin E, K, A. So again, those are just kind of your basic vitamin levels. I would say that sometimes that can be helpful to decide if we have any deficiencies. That tends to be more for anyone who's in a certain population category. So like if you have cystic fibrosis or something, then it's beneficial to check and see where our vitamin levels are at. For just the general population, most of the time, if you have a well-rounded diet, your vitamin levels are going to be pretty stable. Your body is really good at creating stable levels. So even if your diet may not be perfect, it's pretty good at being able to synthesize and get everything that you need to keep your body in a cohesive state of being. That being said, I would, again, it kind of goes back to individuals, but if I'm working with clients and they're telling me like, I'm really craving, I have certain cravings for certain things. To me, that's a sign that we're probably not necessarily deficient in something, but we're not well-rounded enough. And our body is craving some certain nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, it's usually not the nutrients you crave. So if you're craving sugar, that doesn't mean you need more sugar, but it probably means that we have a little bit of a deficiency going on somewhere else that we need to level out. Most of the time, I find that if we start getting people to increase their vegetable intake more than anything else, and meaning like 3 to 5 cups of vegetables a day, that we round out any kind of deficiency, vitamin deficiency, things like that. So again, if you're really focusing on those vegetables, more than likely you're going to be doing pretty good when it comes to your vitamin levels. So another good test to just know is to check out your hair, your skin, and your nails. So if you have, healthy skin, shiny hair, strong nails, those are all very good indicators that all of your, your different vitamins, minerals, things like that are up to par and kind of where they need to be. If there's issues with those, then that's usually a pretty good indication that there's something going on as far as being deficient in something. So.
Yeah, so definitely somebody to work with a professional to figure out what the heck is going on.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
A good scenario where it can be kind of different for everybody.
Okay, well, I guess to touch upon that, I hear about people, taking extra vitamin C and things like that. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm really not a big fan. So to me, taking something out of context, for example, vitamin C, we know that vitamin C has great benefits for the body, but when vitamin C is in an apple, there's also all these other components that go along with it. Things that we don't even really understand. I mean, antioxidants, phytochemicals. So vitamin C, does it work alone? Is it just that vitamin C that provides the benefit, or is it everything in addition to the vitamin C? So I think when we start pulling out bits and pieces and we say, just vitamin E or just vitamin C, we're not really gaining the full context of where vitamin C works the best in. So I'm really not a big fan. Again, special populations, sometimes I do think that it's important to do that type of supplementing but for just general health and general population, I'm not a big fan. I've seen a few clients who almost are like polypharmacy, meaning they have, they're taking 10 different supplements and they've got all kinds of stuff going on, and they actually develop more issues because they are taking all these different supplements. And again, it's out of context of just whole foods. So it can actually cause issues more than be helpful.
Right, right. I think that's an excellent point. In fact, that's one of the things that I like about you is because you and I are aligned on like, hey, get some real food in first. Even though that, I know that we carry Greens First and you do Juice Plus.
Yes.
I think they're both great products, but the nice thing is that both you and I are like trying to push real food. And if all else fails, then you have this stuff to back down upon. I guess what's your thoughts about Juice Plus on, for people? I mean,
yeah,
makes sense.
So the thing with Juice Plus and then the Greens First is it is a whole food based supplement. So they're not creating like a synthetic supplement and saying, oh, here's your vitamin C. They're taking actual foods and putting it into like a powder form. So I like those because it's still basically like eating. The thing I always remind people is don't feel like you have to rely on those to be healthy. So if you can't afford it, if you I don't want to take it, that's okay. You don't have to. It's just another way. Again, it's a supplement. So that word is key, that if you don't feel like you're getting a well-balanced diet, which is very common, it's a great way to try and kind of bolster that up a little bit to make sure you are getting what you need. So
great. Perfect point. Okay, great topic so far. You're doing great, Megan. With no stumping yet.
Not yet. So far, so good.
All right. This was given to us by a teenage young man, so you may get the feeling for this one. What's the best diet for gaining muscle?
Yes. Sounds about appropriate for a teenage man. So again, this can be a little bit more client specific. It kind of depends on, are you trying to also gain weight? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you just trying to tone? What exactly does it look like? But in general, I would say that most of the time you're going to have to focus on the protein. Protein is the building block of muscle. So protein is going to be really important. And again, this isn't going to make sense to most people, but generally, if you want to build muscle, you need to have more than 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. So that's basically about 1 gram for every 2 pounds of body weight. You need to have, that's kind of the ratio that you're aiming for. Also, that being said, if you're eating plenty of protein, but you're not eating enough calories, that's not going to help you much because you're not going to use that protein to gain muscle. You'll just use it as energy or fuel for your body. So again, it's make sure you have enough calories and focus on the protein and lean protein. So lean cuts of meat, beans. You can do, like the protein powders are pretty common. That's probably some of your best ways, like tuna. Those are good ways to get that protein in. The other thing is if you're wanting to build muscle, then you got to exercise. So again, if you're building muscle, you got to lift resistance training, probably lifting weights, things like that, to break that muscle down. And then you fuel the muscle appropriately to build it up and then to make sure you can build it beyond what it was before you broke it down. So again, it's a little bit, again, I would say it can be specific for every individual, but make sure you're eating plenty of calories, healthy calories, not junk food, and then trying to get in extra protein So, are you having eggs for breakfast? Are you getting in some type of a protein item for snack? What about lunch and dinner? So every meal, making sure you get protein in.
Very cool. You always hear about bioavailability or basically the body's ability to take stuff. In protein shakes in general, I mean, obviously, I know that there's a huge difference in quality and quantity, but um, what are your thoughts on some of those shakes out there?
I think you have to be careful. I so like some of the whey proteins, you got to be careful like on the quality of the protein. So like whey protein, I think some people do well with whey protein. I have other people who don't do well with whey protein because it really bothers their system. So then we look at doing like a vegetable based protein, which is probably more of my favorite. We look at doing like a brown rice protein powder. So it can vary. I think if you're really serious about it and you want some expert advice, probably asking, someone who like a trainer or someone who works at like a supplement store would be the best way to go as far as making sure you're getting a quality product and not just going to Walmart and buying the protein powder on the shelf. Because again, there's a lot of different kinds and they can have all kinds of stuff in it. If you start reading that label, there's a lot of stuff in it. So just being careful. Again, that's why I kind of shy away from whey and will go more for like a vegetable based protein or a brown rice protein because there tends not to be as much stuff in there. So,
Nice.
yep. And the other thing is look for, if, when you're looking at that food label, look for, 25 grams of protein. Some of these have, 35, 40 grams of protein. Your body's really not going to utilize in one serving. It's not going to utilize more than about 25 grams. So the rest of that, you're either storing as, fat or you're just excreting and getting rid of. So it doesn't do you much good to go beyond that.
Absolutely. I do know that one. And then, just like, a general multivitamin, or if you're taking B vitamins, your urine, sorry, we got to talk about this, but urine will turn bright yellow.
Yes.
You have too much protein actually, and you're eating too much and you're just basically urinating out, actually turns a darker color. So for some of you young guys looking at that stuff, that's some good indicators.
Absolutely.
Well, since we're on this whole topic of working out and stuff like that, I had a question about your thoughts on sports drinks and which are the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. So my first clarification is, okay, when is it appropriate to use sports drinks? And to remember that intense activity. So, if you're going for 90 minutes or longer, you probably need to be doing something that's got some carbohydrates in it, electrolytes and things like that. Also, excessive sweating. So if it's extremely hot outside, you may not be exercising at that long, but you need something to kind of replenish those electrolytes that you are excreting. So remember that sports drinks are not for going to the rec for 30 minutes on the elliptical machine or just to be drinking, kind of casually. Nope. For me, that would place sports drinks in the same category as pop. It's just, no, there's no room for it, no place for it. That being said, so myself personally with sports drinks, I've run a couple of marathons, half marathons, and done some triathlons. And so I've used Gatorade. I know some people aren't a big fan. They feel like it's a little bit more processed. For me, it worked great. And it was amazing just the difference that I could see in my my performance and just my body's ability to keep going when I used Gatorade correctly. If you're looking for something that, you want outside of the store, I have two recommendations. One is Melaleuca. If anyone is familiar with Melaleuca, they have some sports drink packets so that you can mix yourself. And they use not as much sugar. And it's a different type, so it's not as processed. They have a lot more natural ingredients in it. And then the other suggestion would be just to make your own. Coconut water is an excellent source of electrolytes. I know. It's not the best tasting for
That's so
everybody. I
gross.
It's not. I don't mind it. The key for me is I put fruit in it. So,
Oh, okay.
strawberries, peaches, watermelon. So I infuse it. And that kind of leads me into the next one. Just infused water is a really great way to get electrolytes. My thing is to remember that again, if this is like your intense training, you're going for 90 minutes or more, then you also need those carbohydrates. So it becomes more than just the electrolytes. It's also the energy source that you need. So then you may want to consider using like honey, maple syrup, things like that, natural maple syrup that will, again, give you that fuel that you need. So it is important, again, if you're intensely training for something, to get that figured out. It is also kind of individual for everyone. Again, here I'm saying it again, but things that work for me may not work for everyone else. So again, if you're training, you want to make sure that you practice before you just say, oh, I'm going to try coconut water for my, 14-mile run tomorrow. Like, make sure that you try these things out. Lemon is really good. Some of like just natural 100% juice, some of those will work pretty good as far as getting you those carbohydrates. So there's a lot of different options besides just your Gatorade and Powerade, and again, less processed. But again, you just kind of want to find what works for you.
Awesome. Awesome. Great topic. Now we're getting close on time, so I'm going to kind of skip a few of these, but let's go right into this one. I'm not really familiar with this one. I was kind of wondering, I'm not sure if I'm reading this right. What would be the best way to cook and serve oat groats?
Oh, yeah.
What would be good to have with it? Is that what
Mm-hmm.
it says? Oat groats?
I think that's what it says. Yes, oat groats.
I mean,
So
it
just
is.
for any of you that are wondering, oat groats are very similar to like steel cut oats. They're just one step less in the processing realm. So steel cut oats get cut down into small pieces. Oat groats would be bigger pieces, and basically the only thing that's been done is that the hull or the hard outside coating that's been removed, and that's it. So everything about the oat is still intact. Okay. So if you're wondering, they are healthy, but a lot of your other oats, steel cut or your old fashioned, they have a very similar nutrition profile. So you don't have to do oat groats if you don't want to. But again, they are very healthy for you, and they are less processed than even like your steel cut oats. So it's a good option. As far as cooking, so you need to plan. They're going to take about an hour to cook, again, because they're whole, and so it just takes that much longer. Um, well, I've only made them once, and they turned out good. But I used a crock pot, so I did kind of like an overnight oatmeal, and they worked great for that because they cook so slowly. So I cook it very similar. Like, I used water in mine, and then again just cooked them overnight, and then I added some fruit. You can add honey. Again, you can add pure maple syrup. Um, you can kind of take it however you want as far as just like making oatmeal. I would steer away from like the brown sugar and the butter because again, that takes away a little bit of that nutrition profile. But yeah, they're a great thing to add in your diet. You don't have to if you want to go for more of the old fashioned or steel cut. But they're a good variety for sure.
Nice, nice. Okay, and I'm going to leave this question to the last one here. So there's a lot of kids with problems in this community, ADHD, sensitivities to different types of foods,
Yes.
things like that. Is there anything, any kind of specialized diet or things that people need to stay away from in order to kind of cater to kids that are just a little bit either on that spectrum of sensory issues or ADD or ADHD or things like that? Or is this, again, another case-by-case thing? Or is there some general stuff that we can follow?
Sure. So I would say it kind of becomes a case by case thing, but big things would be gluten and dairy. Those I think tend to be when we're talking sensitivities and intolerances or just like having issues, seems to be that when we start getting rid of those two areas or your wheat products and your dairy products, that we see an improvement, I would say. And then that just processed foods in general. So, if you're going a lot more whole food based, so healthy fats that come from, your avocados, your olive oils, coconut oils, coconut milks, things like that are going to be a better alternative than using like your whole milks. But to still get that fat in there, making sure you're doing plenty of fruits and vegetables. For kids, I do really recommend trying to get organic, just because there's question about pesticides and linking to autism. And again, that would be like when baby's in the womb, or like with breastfeeding and things like that. But just being careful, like, okay, how many chemicals are my kids exposed to? With processed foods like dyes, red dyes, in particular, are things that we really need to watch out for. So if you're doing fruity pebbles, like probably not a good thing because it's got a whole bunch of red dye in it. Or popsicles, just really being careful about what chemicals are you putting into your children's bodies. And then I would say, and again, this sounds maybe old fashioned or old school, but schedule, like getting your kids on a regular eating schedule. So that means, a good breakfast, a good lunch, a good dinner, planned snacks, and not necessarily just having like grazing throughout the day. And then all of a sudden they're not hungry for their nutritious meal because they snacked all day. So trying as best as you can to have a pretty regimented schedule, and kids adapt pretty well. It may be difficult at first to establish that schedule, but once you've got it, it tends to really help kids know what to expect and their bodies adapt really well. So those are kind of my general recommendations. But yeah, case by case too. I've worked with several families that are dealing with it, or individual adults, kids that are dealing with it. It can be really difficult and it can be frustrating. I think it takes time and kind of experimenting to figure out exactly what may be the case. But that's what I would recommend.
That was awesome. 100% on board. Yeah. And you did hit on healthy fats. I'm all about omega-3 fish oils for.
Yes.
That was huge. Megan, thank you so much for everything you did for us tonight. And
yeah.
You got done through a lot of our questions. There's a lot more too, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Plus, how often is somebody going to sit down and watch more than half an hour of webinar? So we'll probably break this up, and maybe we can invite Megan back to do another session.
Absolutely.
Megan, what's the best way people can get a hold of you if they want to really do that one-on-one, experience with you and really figure out what can be catered for them?
Yep. So my cards are available at Vitality. They're up front in the card holder. So my email is on there and my phone number is on there. So you guys are more than welcome to email me, call me. I do work up at the hospital, like I mentioned. So if you ever just want to call up there and say, hey, I need to talk to the dietitian, they can transfer you to my line also. So there's kind of 3 different ways you can get a hold of me. Email, my personal cell phone, which is available at Vitality, or you can call the hospital and just ask to speak to the dietitian and they'll get you in touch with me.
Cool. Megan, on the Google Plus, we have 1 person watching. On YouTube, we have 8 people watching, and it looks like a few people are out of state.
Oh,
so is there any other way that they may be able to get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and, I would go ahead and also share my website. So my website is www.FromInsideOut.squarespace, so squarespace, all one word, .com.
Perfect.
And so if they want to, if you are interested in checking out my website, there's information about me and then also just what I do with my consulting. So you can contact me that way as well.
Great. And if we can edit the video or whatever, I'll make sure you put it on the bottom of the screen and
perfect.
Put it onto that too so we can get a hold of you guys.
That sounds great.
Awesome. Well, Megan, it's time for me to try to stump you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So I thought it might be fun just to spend like 1 minute or 2 minutes kind of doing a rapid fire first thought questions. Okay. So I have 2 rounds.
Okay.
And so what we're going to do is the first round is fast food joints. So you've heard of the book, Eat This, Not That?
I have, yes.
So I'm going to name a fast food restaurant and you pick if you don't want to totally destroy your life or your diet, pick that you'd eat there.
This is what you should have. Okay.
Makes sense. Are you ready? Are you up for the challenge here?
I'm up for the challenge.
All right. Challenge number 1.
Yes.
Arby's.
I would go for their market fresh sandwiches and take off 1 slice of bread.
Very nice. Subway.
Their chopped salad.
That was a really good answer too.
I love it.
We'll stick to Ogallala.
Okay.
Open range.
I mean, they have great salads, or I will do their burgers. And again, I just don't do a bun.
Very nice, Vinny. Very nice. Let's go into what the standard American. So just in case, let's say McDonald's.
I knew that one was coming. Grilled chicken sandwich, side salads. I think you can get the kids' meals with like apple slices versus like French fries. Even if you want to get a hamburger, just don't get the French fries. No French fries.
Man, you're good.
Or pop. Or pop.
Honestly, you did fantastic with that. All right, Taco Bell.
Okay. They salads again would be okay, or tacos. Just get a basic no sugar tots, or whatever they're called.
Nice.
Ways.
Okay. You did a perfect score. Great job. So round two,
Okay.
Again, this whole like eat this, not that sort of thing scenario. I'm going to name off some popular summertime foods or choices, and I want you to give me best alternative.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
All right. Popsicles.
Store-bought
Store-bought popsicles. Store-bought popsicles. How about that?
popsicles. Homemade popsicles.
Oh, what do you mean?
You can do, oh gosh, if any of you are on Pinterest out there, there's so many fun homemade popsicle recipes. But I mean, just blend up some fruit, put it in like an ice cube container, stick it in the freezer, and you've got homemade little fruity, icicle pops.
Very cool. All right. Pop or soda.
Infused water. So get some. My favorite is probably melon. So watermelon, cantaloupe, and honeydew. Cut it up. Put it in a big pitcher of water. Maybe even some mint leaves if you like mint, just to make it fresh. Set it in overnight, and then you'll have some nice, fresh, infused water. It's got sugar, but not too much.
Man, you're good. Okay. How about hot dogs?
You could go for, they have chicken hot dogs or turkey hot dogs out there. Those would be a little bit better. Otherwise, a hamburger. I'd rather do a hamburger than a hot dog, just because hot dog is not real meat.
No, it is definitely not. It's a mixture of many, many meats.
Yes. So look for something that's more of a whole food base. Chicken breast, a ground hamburger patty, or look for like chicken sausage or turkey sausage would be better too.
Very nice. You did absolutely fantastic. So again, Megan, I have to thank you so much for spending your time social away from your family to take this time to record this for our guests for our office, and actually really as a service for the community. So it's a welcome to anybody to watch it. And I guess for those at home, I challenge you that automatically while you're sitting here, you probably thought of one or two people that needed to hear this, or honestly, at least one person that probably needs to talk to Megan herself. And I would really strongly encourage you to reach out to her. She's obviously she's passionate about what she does. The big thing is making sure that you know what you want, what your goals are considerately, and she can help you out with that. So Megan, any last thoughts?
Just jumping on what you said. Let me know if I can help, and I guess to just don't put it off any longer. If there's changes that you need to make, just start. Start somewhere, even if it's small things. They can make a big difference. So make it important.
Love it. Thanks for everybody, and thank you, Megan. Have a good night.
Awesome. Thank you.